And we back once again. It's your boys, No Jobbers Allowed, and today we coming back at you with another review. This time for WWE SmackDown for December 4th, 2018. And as always, you know what it is. You rocking with your boy Big Ish, and with me like always is.
Man, it is your guy Irwin, and when we're reviewing the A show, which is SmackDown, that will always be the A show to me. I get kind of happy. This is a really good episode this week. What did you think about it before we get into it?
Before we get into it, I thought it was really good.
It was enjoyable,
And
man.
SmackDown is so good that it was the best part to Raw. The best part to Raw when they show what's going to happen on SmackDown the next day.
Hey, man, I can agree. And we kicked off SmackDown with the good old fashioned contract signing for the women's SmackDown title, where we had Becky Lynch, Charlotte Flair, and Asuka cutting various promos on each other. As always, Becky Lynch was absolutely amazing, just spot on. Like, she's super witty, man. Very, very witty, very quick. I felt like Charlotte wasn't as over as she was with Becky in the ring because they're kind of doing the same shtick. How'd you feel about that one?
I agree. It was sort of a mirror image,
Yep.
and I didn't really like that because you could hear when Becky was doing her promo, she got the real heat, while it took Charlotte, I guess you could say, to mimic Becky to get that same heat or get similar heat because her heat isn't on the same level. But and the reason why I say that, I can justify that by saying when Asuka spoke to tell them both to shut up, you heard that pop. And that pop was big as Becky's pop.
It was.
Now,
It was.
Charlotte didn't get that. And Charlotte didn't even get a good pop until she started mimicking Becky. You feel me? So I do get where you're saying where it taking Charlotte to mimic some of what Becky's doing now, because you can't act like Charlotte didn't used to be that guy, or in this case, that girl back in the day, like earlier. She was that hotness, but Becky really solidified herself as Duke A number one, like I said a few podcasts ago.
Yeah, man, she really did. She solidified herself as that top dog, and they trade shots back and forth. Charlotte brings up the fact that she ended Asuka's streak at WrestleMania. They're going back and forth. They want to fight right now, but out comes Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville, and then they have a good old fashioned tag team match where we had Asuka and Charlotte teaming up against them. Not a huge fan of what we were talking about before this as far as continuity. Wasn't just a couple weeks ago, like you said, Mandy Rose was trying to break up their tag team.
That's what I'm saying. Just like that Dana Brooke thing with on Raw, where Dana Brooke was just a part of the babyface team. The next day, she was a heel. And Mandy Rose was just trying to break up Absolution, like right before Women's Evolution. And now she's already back with Sonya Deville. And side note, shout out to Hair Up Square Up Sonya Deville, because I'm beginning to like her more and more. Like especially after the women's battle royal last week, where it was her and Asuka, down to her and Asuka, and
Yep.
she, for the little amount of time they gave those two, Sonya Deville made it dope. So I'm looking forward to see what she really, really gets to do when they give her a full match to be even more dope. Because this one last night with as a tag team was very dope. So I can't wait to what she can do in the singles competition. But like we saying, I thought Absolution was breaking up.
Yeah, I
And
thought they were
then
done.
something happened where now WWE had to push them back together again for some reason. So I don't know what angle they were going to take with Mandy Rose, but now they put her back in tag competition. So maybe that's because maybe about these women tag titles dropping. Maybe they're dropping on SmackDown and Raw, because I hope they don't do that BS where only one show gets a tag title for the
Yeah,
women.
man. We'll have to see how that pans out. And this match actually ended where Asuka and Charlotte Flair could not coexist. Asuka hit Charlotte Flair with a kind of a knee, like I don't know if it's a sliding knee or
It
what
was
you'd actually call.
they said it was a sliding knee. I
Okay.
thought it was more of a sliding foot to the face. They
Yeah.
called it as a sliding knee, but I'll watch it again, but it really looks like it was more of a sliding foot to the face.
Yeah, and that gives Sonya Deville the chance to pin Charlotte Flair, and Sonya Deville and Mandy Rose get the win, which again I'm not too mad at because it gives the young up and comers a little bit of time to shine. It gave Mandy Rose and Sonya Deville some
Mm.
promo time,
And
and
I remember a couple weeks ago you was calling Mandy Rose a glorified jobber.
you know, I have to roll the tapes back to see that one. I don't remember saying that, but
I do, bro.
it's good to see them getting a little bit of shine, and they're actually doing a good job of elevating their women. Whereas I see Raw, everybody's doing the same thing every week, and nobody's getting over or looking good or looking bad. It's just the same every single week. So shout out to this match. It was good. It gets us talking about women's wrestling, which I guess is good because they used to be bathroom breaks, to be honest. So continuing on, we get later this evening, we're going to have a Miz TV. We're also going to go over Jeff Hardy versus Randy Orton. And then the next match we get is Cesaro versus the Uso. I don't know which one it was. Versus
Bro, how do you
Xavier
not
Woods.
know Jimmy and Jay?
Bro,
It was
you
Jay
know what?
Uso in this particular match.
To me, again, they're the same. I don't know if this is me. Obviously, there's one that's better than the other. I think the one that the worst one was in the match tonight. The one that's not as good. The Uso that's not not the Naomi Uso. I just disrespected him by calling him the Naomi Uso.
Look, I ain't even about to justify these shenanigans with no comments, bro. Let's keep it.
All right, so they had a very entertaining match, which I'm glad they broke up that tag team little trio they have because it's been pretty much for the past year and a half they've all been facing each other where it's either the Bar versus the New Day versus the Uso. So I'm glad they got them in one-on-one matches. The Uso actually wins with this one. There was a good spot that I really liked where Cesaro was doing.
That man has a name.
Jey Uso gets the win on this match.
Thank you.
But there was a good match where Cesaro was doing his Cesaro swing, and he had Xavier Woods like on his back. It just shows that Cesaro's a strong ass dude, man. To be able to twist somebody around like that with somebody on your back, that's a feat of strength.
Don't call him the Swiss cyborg for nothing.
This is true. So you got anything to add on this match?
Not really. I thought it was pretty good. One of my favorite pieces of back and forth was when they knocked Cesaro out the ring, and then Jay and Xavier was trading moves. They were showing each other their athleticism and kind of showing their spots, during the whips from the ropes, hopping over each other and things like that. So it showed the bit of athleticism, or a lot of the athleticism they had to really show why they are one of the biggest tag team, or a part of the biggest tag teams that SmackDown and WWE has to offer.
Yeah, man, and it's so much better. Even though it's the only criticism I have is these guys have been facing each other over and over again. At least it's entertaining, and I'm just comparing this to Raw. With Raw's tag team division is just garbage, but that's another podcast for another day. The next segment we have is a backstage segment where Kyla Braxton is interviewing Rusev, and man, I'm just happy the fact that Rusev is on TV and he's doing something. So he's trying to call out Shinsuke Nakamura. The only problem I had with this promo is it seemed extremely scripted, and we all know that Rusev is absolutely hilarious when you just kind of let him go and you don't have to lead him too much to give him that much content. And for him to sound good with it. What do you think about this promo, and how do you feel about it?
Well, I love Rusev and hated the way I thought that WWE creatives have been burying him down in the storylines and things like that. If you watch Up, Up, Down, Down, Rusev, a.k.a. Tom Poe, a.k.a. Roman Reigns, because he doesn't lose. He's great when he's off the cuff. Unscripted Rusev is a promo killer. So this always goes with what I say about WWE and how they handcuff their talent to kind of pull some of their own charisma and character out of their talent for some reason, instead of just letting that talent go.
Yep.
I think if you just let Rusev go, he will give you a fire promo. Now, the only thing you got to be weary of is Rusev may push the line just a little bit, but I mean, I don't think you can get a good promo without trying to figure out where that line is and how far you can go. So I love seeing Rusev on TV, on television, and I want to see him win some matches. I just didn't like it. At least felt to me, and it sounds like to you, that they was trying to script him and put him in a box a little bit. He got to be outside the box. He has to be outside the box to be effective.
He was extremely scripted, and I'm still upset that they broke up Rusev Day the way they did. At least the stable, where they let Chicago's own Aiden English just kind of fade away, like they didn't have a real huge payoff.
See Aiden since that night, since after the ending of One Night in Milwaukee, you ain't seen Aiden English since.
Nope. WWE, get Aiden back on TV, man. That dude's golden, man. We want Aiden back on TV. I would love to see a reunion of Rusev Day. They were very charismatic, and they actually had some good charisma, and they gelled together. That's a pod for another day again, as I say. Next, we go to the ring, and we get our segment of Miz TV, where his guest is supposed to be the champion, Daniel Bryan.
Okay, so let me take over, because when it comes to our R-Truth segment,
do your thing.
I got to do it. So for some reason, WWE hasn't been doing Truth TV since SD Live 1000, to my chagrin. But when Miz came out to do his Miz TV segment, of course, with who Erwin just said, with Daniel Bryan as the guest, soon as Miz get out there and get to talking, he is interrupted by the one, the only, R-Truth, with the homie Carmella. I love Carmella. She's money. And of course, ladies and gentlemen, they do one of my favorite parts of anything, any gimmick that any wrestlers have, and that is the 7-second dance break, which was so funny because it's only 7 seconds, so you was like, why did you just do that? But
yeah, it was so random.
Hilarious. It was hilarious.
So random. Yeah, but hilarious though. I loved it. I like that. I like the fact that they're giving R-Truth something to do, which is always hilarity. And aside from the 7-second dance break, the Miz and Daniel Bryan had a hell of a promo segment, man. I urge the listeners to all go back and watch that. Daniel Bryan is now calling himself, quote unquote, the new Daniel Bryan, where the Yes Movement is dead, where he just, is at odds with the fans. He's not anywhere near where he used to be. He is now in full on heel mode. He even hit him with the crowd was giving him the what chant.
What?
Daniel Bryan was talking.
What?
And as the fans were chanting,
what?
He called them all sheep.
What?
And he was even like, they're all sheep and they're following a 21 or a 20-year-old catchphrase.
What?
Which killed it, man. I'm like, there's nobody else who could have delivered that, and he's now talking in the third person.
But he is true, though. Like, people have been saying what? Like, people who say woo every time they see a chop.
Yeah, man.
Like, you are doing something that is from the old NWA days, like, my guy, like from the late 70s and early 80s. But that's how you know something got staying power. People who don't even know where that came from will chant what or say or scream woo, and they don't even have any idea of the history of it. But it was just hilarious hearing Daniel Bryan talk about it, though.
Yeah, my guy. And the funny thing is, so they're going back and forth. The Yes Movement is dead. He did a great thing where he said, the old Daniel Bryan is dead, and he takes the logo off of his belt. It says the Yes Movement is dead. Takes those little circles off of his belt, throws them on the ground, which
I'll stop you right there. That's how I know WWE be listening to podcasts and all that other stuff. Because shout out to the human suplex machine, Taz, because on his podcast, like right after he won the belt and cut that promo that I'm no longer that yes movement Daniel Bryan, Taz was mad because he said if you're not that person anymore, you should have took off those side plates that night and threw them down. So they must have heard what Taz said and then had Daniel Bryan do it, because Taz called this like 2-3 weeks ago.
Well, Taz is a genius there because that was a great move because it just literally solidified him to me. I think even that little bit like solidified him as a heel, just that symbolism. So good job, Taz, my man. Shout out. I got to go listen to more of the Taz podcast or whatever it's called. But the new Daniel Bryan has a new catchphrase where he calls the people fickle. He said everybody's fickle, 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 fickle. As he's calling everybody
first,
fickle.
can we talk about how they turned Daniel Bryan into Captain Planet?
I mean, you don't need.
Right,
I would love for everybody to watch that, and because he's always been very environmentally conscious, though. So they've actually kind of taken his natural real life character and turned it up times 10 because he's always been about the environment.
He's really Captain Planet. He's like that Funny or Die video with Don Cheadle as Captain Planet, dog. But listeners, if you know what I'm talking about, or if you don't, go Google Don Cheadle Captain Planet. It's hilarious.
That's funny, man. Well, he's all about the environment. But as he's going off on the fans, AJ Styles comes out and he's looking for some comeuppance. He's looking for some comeuppance, because he wants to fight Daniel Bryan. Daniel Bryan retreats. The Miz and Daniel Bryan actually double team AJ Styles. Miz hits him with a skull crushing finale. That sets up for our main event for the evening where AJ Styles wants some of the Miz, and we get that match later. Our next segment we get is, Big Ish is not a huge fan of these throwback wrestlers coming through and wrestling today. Maybe not just necessarily throwback wrestlers, but these particular wrestlers. Because we get Randy Orton versus Jeff Hardy in another match.
Sit y'all old asses down unless y'all bringing up new talent. Bro, I don't want to keep watching this on a SmackDown where new talent should get it. If y'all want to throw this in on a pay-per-view, cool.
You gotta respect the OGs. Man.
I didn't say I didn't. Where did I say I didn't?
Even this sounds really disrespectful to me. Tell them to sit their old ass down. Randy Orton is in the prime of his career still. He's 37, 38 years old, man. He can still go. And he can still put on a good match.
And that's exactly why he need to be putting it on with the rest of the young guys. He's been doing it.
Hey,
I didn't like the way he destroyed Dillinger Perfect 10, but
Perfect 10 is garbage. That's why he destroyed him.
But
Perfect 10 is garbage.
Young guy you can be bringing up and other guys like that. Why
everybody
do
does
you
not
keep
deserve to be brought up?
that heat? Why you keep consolidating that heat with older people? What does this need? What do you and Jeff Hardy need from this match? What does this match do for each other?
What it's doing is it's appealing to the older fans who tune in for nostalgia.
Well, y'all old ass fans can sit y'all asses down too.
This is tuning in for nostalgia, but they had a quick.
If you want nostalgia, watch WWE Network. They got that match from 10 years ago.
These guys can still go, listeners. If you watch this match, they can still go. Big Ish right now is taking my role as the curmudgeon.
Oh, I'm a curmudgeon now.
This is taking my usual role on this podcast, the staple. No jobbers allowed curmudgeon. They had a good match back and forth, which was interrupted by Samoa Joe on the Titantron. He's in a bar and he's kind of digging at some of Jeff Hardy's old demons that he's had to deal with. This gives Jeff Hardy the distraction, or Randy Orton distraction needs to hit the RKO on Jeff Hardy for the 1-2-3. Then we get a promo about with Joe talking about drink responsibly. He sounds like one of those at the end of the Power Rangers or the end of G.I. Joe where they say no to drugs or whatever. But he's clearly digging at a little bit of Jeff Hardy's past. So if you don't know, he's been to jail multiple times for DUI, has a problem with pills, all that kind of stuff. So he's digging at it. But I like that part of it. So what this match has done is it's given that shine in Samoa Joe, though.
Like I said, Joe go get that shine. Why couldn't Jeff be wrestling against like Cien Almas again, which we haven't
seen? We don't need to see
Why,
Cien
why
Almas
not?
lose again.
Why
We don't need
not?
to see him lose again.
What?
Because
Why don't we get? Why would he lose when Joe? Why would he lose when Joe cut the promo? Cien Almas would have took advantage of that and won.
because they weren't. This is WWE, so you're looking at this as they want everybody to shine. And what is Cien Almas
What
going to do with
shine
that
did
shine?
Randy need that he ain't already got? Is Randy Orton the Apex Predator? We know his name.
Because
We know
Randy
his
Orton,
fame.
so Randy Orton is still continuing his feud with Rey Mysterio. Because when Rey Mysterio comes back, Rey Mysterio needs to get his comeuppance, and Rey Mysterio sells tickets.
So why did he need to fight Jeff Hardy then? You know what? We gonna move on.
Because again, Randy Orton is going through where he says he needs to end Jeff Hardy like I did Rey Mysterio. So that's continuing on that feud where they had Randy Orton
You know
being
what?
the killer.
Randy ain't really no legend killer. He's I'll kill you once you pass your prime killer. He ain't took on not one legend.
We can go back in the archives.
We'll do it. Not on this podcast.
We can do a podcast where we say legends that Randy Orton has legitimately killed. That will be on for another day, listeners.
All right, so let's go on to the next match.
So always entertaining when I'm talking to my guy Ish. This is why we do this. So in our main event of the evening, we get The Miz versus AJ Styles, and a very good match, man. We had Daniel Bryan at ringside, further solidifying his heel character.
Fickle.
This
he almost broke character and laughed during one of those, though, because it was so hilarious, man. He knows it, too.
Dude, he's doing a good job with this new character, and this match ends with AJ Styles getting the win, where he taps Miz out with the calf crusher.
Which was a good match. This was
dude. The Miz. Great. I don't know what they're doing with the Miz right now. If he's a heel, a face, an in-betweener, but I like what he's doing right now. I like his work. The main event scene on SmackDown is what it should be right now. Where you get the Miz, AJ Styles, and Daniel Bryan all in the mix, man. All in the mix. But then you still got looming in the background the Shane and the Miz stuff. So it's a lot of good intertwining stories that I'm liking when I'm watching SmackDown, man.
It's really good, man. I'm telling you, SmackDown is where it's at. SmackDown is a show because they got the talent, and what they do with their talent really works wonders for the viewers. Like on social media, I didn't really see any bad things said about Raw. I mean, excuse me, a lot of bad things said about Raw. I didn't see many bad things said about SmackDown because whoever's writing for SmackDown knows how to use the talent they have. Yes. Granted, just like all WWE promotions, sometimes they don't let their characters shine with their own charisma nowadays, but SmackDown really knows how to use the talent they have to give you the best product every Tuesday night.
I agree 100%. And take it this way. They took their top, well, arguably their top face, between AJ Styles and Daniel Bryan. Well, they took their top face, turned him heel, and now he is their top heel. How often does that happen? How often does this happen?
I can't think of times, but that may just because of my ignorance of the topic. But I don't think this happens often. I don't see this happening a lot.
Literally 2 weeks ago, or 3 weeks ago, we'll say, we were yes. Now we are booing him, only because the SmackDown went off the air. He's beating up AJ Styles. He's trying to really sell this knee bar. The new Daniel Bryan he's trying to sell this knee bar
after multiple chop blocks to it after the match.
And then he hops on the announce table and he's really going at the people. The people don't cheer, fickle. The people don't love the new Daniel Bryan, fickle. Then he jumps in and he beats up AJ Styles some more.
So one thing about that, why he's going at the crowd, it was really hilarious because he has a point where he says, "When I came back, where were you guys cheering?" I was like, Daniel Bryan, you had one of the biggest pops I ever heard when you came back, dog. Let's.
Yeah, man.
That was one part of the continuity. I was like, we're not that dumb, bro. We love you, but we're not that stupid. Everyone was cheering for you. Everyone was literally screaming, yes, yes, yes.
We were behind this man, so he's crazy, which is amazing.
But that's what makes the heel turn so much better, because it shows a little disconnect and delusion of Daniel Bryan, which makes this heel turn even better, because it shows you how broken his mind is to make him do un-Daniel Bryan-like things like kick AJ Styles in the balls. But one of my favorite things, I think it was Corey Graves, who asked him, what would you think about your daughter looking at you kicking in the ball? Well, I hope she kicks one man in the balls, two men in the balls, 1,000 men in the balls.
He was going in.
I love this Daniel Bryan right now. Or I love the new
Daniel Bryan. Sweet. And just to, again, where I know I've been doing a lot of comparing to Raw with this show, if we can take another scenario where they had one of their top faces and try to turn them heel, and it didn't work quite as well, or it's not working.
We already. I feel so remiss about this, because what you just said with Daniel Bryan, they did that in NXT with Johnny Gargano. They took one of they took their best babyface and Johnny Wrestling and turned on heel, and it's such a good heel turn.
Exactly. So
we can do it.
They can do it. But look at what they did with, again, Dean Ambrose. I love heel Dean Ambrose, but it's taken him a little while to get that same dislike, that Johnny Gargano's got. It's taken him a little bit to get that same dislike that Daniel Bryan has gotten instantly. So I don't know if that means we care more about Daniel Bryan and Johnny Gargano than we do Dean Ambrose, or if this heel turn was handled better on those two situations.
Well, with the Dean Ambrose things, it was the win. People hated Dean because they didn't like him, because sometimes you get caught up in your markness and the kayfabe. So they hated him to do that on the night that Roman has to give up Joe, the real man, had to give up the Universal title. That's when you turn on your brother. So people really hated him. So they didn't even want to give him a chance to see where the angle was going at first. Now they are.
You're right. You're 100%. I'm glad you remember that.
So I think that's why we have a difference in the Dean turn and then the Daniel turn. People weren't expecting Daniel to turn like this, but it was a good turn.
And the timing was perfect.
Yeah. So people definitely wasn't expecting Dean to turn at that point. We thought he was going to because of everything leading up to that, but not that night.
I like that. I like that explanation of that. I mean, I can agree with everything that you just said. So that makes sense. But it's just like, even all of Raw's heels are not getting this same kind of heel heat. Like, it's dumbfounding me, man. Like, I just don't like Baron Corbin. I just don't like Baron Corbin. So I don't boo him because he's a great heel.
Here's why you can't get the same amount of heat, and I don't want to go too much in depth in this, because I feel like it could be a whole pod, but it's because you have a heel authority on Raw. So none of your heels can really shine because they're not the top heel. Because Baron Corbin is the top heel, a person who can change a match to suit his liking and take advantage of it every time. He's the top heel. So besides Drew McIntyre, which will blow anybody out the water on both shows, you can't get higher than that bar, no pun intended, of Baron Corbin, because he is the heel authority. At the tippy top, if he wanted something changed, he can always be the bigger heel than someone else, once again, besides Drew McIntyre.
Truth, but I would like to add this. This is not for argument's sake. This is just from watching wrestling for so long. We had arguably the greatest heel of all time, where we had and they're trying to replicate this. They've tried to replicate it multiple times. Where we had Vince McMahon, who is the biggest heel of all time. Back when wrestling was its hottest, the biggest rivalry was Stone Cold Steve Austin versus Vince McMahon. And I guess I can argue to say you can't get a bigger heel than Vince McMahon. But what Vince McMahon did was he would do all this shit, all this stuff, and he would put various other heels in Stone Cold Steve Austin's way, so that when Vince McMahon finally got his comeuppance, it was like, oh my God, I can't wait to see this. I can't wait to do that. I just don't know why they're having such a hard time replicating that with the heels they have on the roster now. Like, nothing has really changed when you think about it, other than the hotness
because no one's bigger than your top heel right now. I say
right,
Baron Corbin. Well, I'm saying Baron Corbin is at the top.
Okay,
but right under him is hear me out. Then you have Drew McIntyre. Right. No one's bigger than Drew McIntyre. But with Vince McMahon, you had Stone Cold Steve Austin. There was no one Vince could put in his way that was bigger than Stone Cold Steve Austin. You see what I'm saying? So you have Drew McIntyre. There's no babyface on Raw bigger than Drew McIntyre. So you can't.
We had The Undertaker though. The Undertaker wasn't that stable with Vince. So
I see where you're going with
it did compare.
But,
so maybe it's just
This but at that time, Stone Cold was still bigger though at that point in time. But we let's keep it moving. So that was the end of SmackDown, ladies and gentlemen.
I love this. I love this.
Me and Erwin gonna have to start giving y'all more bonus content because we can't keep giving it to you guys in the reviews. So be on the lookout. Coming to our podcast NJA channel on YouTube. Yep. And follow us on Twitter at Podcast NJA, on Facebook at Podcast NJA, because we want to give you more content, and we're coming up with more and more ideas of things about wrestling that me and Erwin gets really passionate about, as you can hear tonight. So we're going to try to bring you more and more as it goes on. And so grades for the show, bro. Go ahead and give one.
I'm going to give it a solid A-. I enjoyed everything. For me,
solid A-.
Yep.
Solid I am going to go with a B+.
Okay.
Just because I enjoyed the show. The action was good. Of course, like these old ass wrestlers wrestling these old ass wrestlers when they could be wrestling young ass wrestlers. But I'm gonna go with a B. It was really, really good. I'm looking forward to next week with New Day, Usos, and the Bar rap battle.
Rap battle. It's gonna be crazy. It's gonna be, and that's what these shows need to do. We need to be excited for next week because of the content. Not excited about how bad the content's gonna be. So I'm excited for next week. I got nothing else for them. You already told them all the follows. You got anything else for them, Big Ish?
You already know what it is. It's being your boy. Of one half of No Jobbers Allowed, Big Ish, and with me, like always, was the other half. Tell them what your name is, bro.
Man, it is your guy, Erwin, and we out.
We out. Listen to this music.